자, 이게 씨발 혁명이다. 이걸 바로 혁명이라고 하는 거야. 라이프니츠, 독일의 deutschland 라이프니츠라는 친구는 도대체 어떤 이유로 미적분을 만들었는지 모르겠지만 뉴턴이라는 친구는 had made a calculus, literally calculating for what the movement, circular or elliptical movement, is not from the rotation also the revolution, calculating the movement of something object, for it be either a planet or any other stars or any other, for its purpose is not only to be able to describe an object's movement, not only be a linear, just a line and having a certain angle, but also having a curvature, okay, like a circle, any elliptical, just a movement of curvature, a curvature's movement. How to describe? Yeah. So the essence of curvature is it really goes curved, okay, not having just a linear but having a curving trajectory. For its trajectory, the question for how to exactly analyze the accurate essence of the movement. What is that essential logic for that movement is that make a certain fixed section by section, like having x and y function going either x or y, and both having a section would be a length on the x-axis and the height on the y-axis, like having a fixed section for like 1 centimeter per 1 centimeter per 1 centimeter, 1 by 1 centimeter, and divide it and make a dot where the x and y's line for that grid, that lattice, is meeting with that trajectory of curvature. Trajectory of curvature is flying onto it and having an x and y, and exactly make a relationship by having a fixed section by section line, and on which point the x and y meets, okay, the one can know the exact length and elevation on that point. So at some point on its trajectory for its movement, and making slightly more narrower, not 1 centimeter, be 0.5 or 0.1 or 0.01 millimeter. It goes very, not centimeter, 0.01 centimeter and 0.01 millimeter, going more, narrowing down. It can almost exactly follow the trajectory for almost each and every moving dots on the trajectory by knowing the exact position of those. Because when the one moves in linear direction, it is very predictable as soon as it knows the first position in which direction, which angle it goes. It just constantly maintains its same position from where it started. But having a curved serpent line, it is not predictable, so it has to follow on each and every step of its movement. The purpose of mathematic, I don't know from what origin has the fucking word has originated, but it has to be substituted by the name of logic, and the purpose of logic is it itself what is named for. Logic, the exact relation, accurate analysis, okay? To know exactly by having more deep down dissection, for knowing the deepest essence of an object, any phenomena, any single one and only, one and everything, all on all objects, on all things, on all interactions, those objects has to know the deepest essence of those property and interactions, and from knowing that exact essence can the computer really create the same kind of examples from which it made an analysis and created a knowledge and make another example, more advanced example, more developed structure. Yeah. The purpose of logic is to analyze all things, which is just a knowledge. It can be referred to as having a science for chemistry and physics and other technology and engineering for the same purpose, having the same purpose. Logic, advance, analyze and advance, analyze and advance, analyze, organize, advance. It says 18세기 베르누이, 프랑스 친구겠지, 영국의 뉴턴과 독일의 라이프니츠가 이전 세기에 구현한 미분 계산법에 매우 큰 영향을 받았다. 사실 1650년대 그 이전에는 수학을 오로지 정지에 있는 대상에만 적용할 수 있었다. 이게 얼마나 중요해. 어떤 건 움직이고 어떤 거는 날아가고, 그치? 어떤 거는 위에서 떨어지고, 그러니까 이런 거를 네가 실제로 보고서 과연 저게 본질이 뭔지를 생각하고서 저걸 분석할 수가 있어야 돼. 아니 종이에다가 씨발 족같은 공식으로 어떤 팩터지, 그 구성 요소와 그것이 차지하는 운동에서의 공간을 만들기 위해서 그것을 대표자로 substitute를 해서 뭐 어떤 알파벳을 넣든 뭐 그리스 알파벳이나 뭐 그런 걸 넣든 뭐 부호를 넣든 해서 이렇게 기술할 수 있지만 실제 이해는 그 부호가 아니지. 그건 네가 이해한 거를 네가 그냥 표현하는 건데, 그러니까 실제 이해할 수 있으려면은 좀 부호가 중요한 게 아니라 그걸 이미지로 상상을 해야 돼. 이미지가 진짜지 부호는 진짜가 아니야. 그래서 새로운 수학 개념을 만든다는 거는 어떤 운동을, 어떤 물체를, 그것의 상호작용을, 무엇이든 현상을 만드는 것에 대해서 네가 정확하게 이해를 한다는 거고, 그 정확한 이해를 바탕으로 그걸 분석해서 아니까 그걸 다르게 조합을 해서 더 좋은 시스템을 만들 수가 있다는 거. 그게 수학의 목적이야. 모든 과학의 목적이지. 이해, 지식, 뭐 논리 다 똑같은 말이야. 오로지 정지 있는 대상에만 적용할 수 있었다. 얼마나 중요해. 그러니까 결국 미적분을 이제 만든 거는 움직이는 대상에 대해서도 그 분석을 할 수 있다. 그게 목적이었어요. 그걸 하려고 만들었고, 수학으로 더하기, 빼기에 곱하기와 나누기의 셈을 그 어떤 양들의 관계를 분석할 수 있었고, 어떤 것에 대한 길이와 그 길이가 있는 것들에 대한 사이의 정도인 각도를 잴 수 있으며, 그게 직선의 기울기가 도형이 가지고 있는 그 선과 각도를 통해서 국한된 그 공간의 면적을 계산할 수 있었다. 이렇게 말을 하지. 결국 중요한 거는 뭐가 뭐를 가지고 있을 때 뭐가 됐든 간에 네가 살면서 뭐를 마주치든 간에 뭐를 보든 어떤 족같은 상황들을 경험하고 개같은 실험들을 하든 간에 결국 그것들을 통해서 저게 왜 발생하는지, 어떻게 발생하는지, 처음부터 끝은 어떤 과정을 만들어지는지 그걸 네가 알아야 돼. 그렇지? 그러면은 지식은 그냥 창조가 되고 너는 그 다음부터 창조를 거의 자연스럽게 일어나지. 자연스럽다는 건 내가 그걸 이해했기 때문에 다른 걸 조합하는 거 그냥 식은 죽 먹기는 거지. 수학의 목적은 그거야. 그러니까 예를 들어서 지금 우리가 보고 있는 종이가 완전히 평평하지, and it is not completely flat, not having any elevation, but it has an elevation because it is not flat and having a certain volatility, protrusion. how to, number one, calculate the elevation and the curvature like a mountain, like a mountain. You're seeing a mountain and having exactly copying that image of mountain, which needs the analysis on its geometric shape for 3D. Yeah. Yeah. Mathematics is a tool, is a thinking of logic for exactly analyzing, deep down, dissect down to the deep, for knowing the crucial lessons and the phenomena can be divided for either physics or chemistry, and for those applications are named as technology and engineering. Since now, thinking about why the one reads a book because it does not know the experiences, learnings that are required, that are written on that book. If the one knows it, it doesn't have to read any book. Reason of why someone reads a book because it is ignorant, at least on that knowledge that is contented, written in the book. So it is about the experiences are required to advance the logic. Imagination comes from the quantity and quality, meaning the diversity and deepness of the experiences. Without any experiences, cannot one any imagine. Okay. Without the experiments, cannot one have any analyzation. Okay. Experiencing a lot is crucial, and it is the source of knowledge. It says, 그렇지만 공중을 날아가는 공이나 행성의 궤도 운행 등의 곡선을 어떤 물체가 가지는 곡선 궤도를 가지는 운행을 기술하는 것은 없었다. 그런 거지. 뉴턴은 그 문제를 다루기 위해 새로운 수학분야 미분을 만들어냈고 making a new concept of mathematics is very important for the calculus was meant for the calculation and the now I see right now a monkey is having a smoke and does not know what the one is doing exactly right now. The one exists and having a standing in a fucking 40 foot and does not know why it exists and why it shits its saliva to the ground and having a cigarette to the butt to the ground without any notion for that it has to be cleaned by itself. Ignorant monkey is ignorant because it does not know itself for its ignorance. It does not have any notion. It does not think itself having a giant and gross ignorance. Has to be eliminated. Now the purpose of mathematics. 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 Produce more curvature. Now, imagining creating a new mathematical concept is just creating a new kind of set of logic. Making a new structure of logic is exactly what it means. For creating new. Humans have made a fractal, a geometry that grows, changes for its constant rate, having a sequence on its geometry, which is seen from the flowers. The flower, it has a purpose, it has a reason to make for that form. What is that? What reason, what necessitation had led the plant to make such forms and having a circular shape like a sunflower, and any other flowers are having symmetrical leaves as a clock, as a form of clock, shape of clock. And it also has its symmetry on the leaf itself, not only on its deployment on the flower, but on the leaf itself. Humans discovered that it has symmetry and have a certain leaf form, quite elliptical, but having an angle, having a sharp angle on its end, and made a geometry, literally geometer E, for calculating the length, elevation x, y, z, and the radius, diameters for the circle, rectangulars, cubes. It can be seen in nature, meaning the simulation made this kind of form possible. And the space having a gravity and the centripetal force going circular orbit, stationary, not changing its orbit unless having more or less gravity, formed from the equilibrium by the inner force for gravity and the outer force for the centripetal. The definition of centripetal is just a congregation of linear forces that is just summed into the circular trajectory. And it can be seen for its circular trajectory and the shape like a sphere of Earth, which made the calculation of total surface and volume of the sphere and make an application towards the other forms by the connection of those basic concepts, made a discipline named topography and topology in mathematics. And dissecting is a tomography. And just a number, making a numbers logic, what I call numbers, and having a simple constituents dissection on the name of algebra, having a matrix for deploying the factor, the amount of factors So, by the essence, it is made from the inspiration of nature, which means nature made a simulation, and having more simulation by acquiring from the knowledge, the one can make a more simulation, the more mathematical concepts, like from the function to the applied calculuses, geometries, algebras, all other small subdivided disciplines under mathematics. Like if we count as 6 subdivisions are in there, through more simulations we can grow up there. Okay, counts as 10 subdivisions, 20 subdivisions. Those creation of new mathematical concepts are made from the exact dissection of existing knowledge, from the complete transferring of knowledge, and making a new idea world, new structure. It is just a fucking imagination. So, when studying in mathematics, it is just stemming from the experiences of their life, and made exact analysis. Mathematics is the first discipline to make any logics, okay? Any logics. From the binary code used by a calculator. Calculator has to transform from the very large amount of differentiators from A to Z for 26 English counts into 2 binary code because it lacks the computing capability over 2. So it has to be shortened under 0 and words, or 0 and 1, and or 2 and 3, or just 2 factors to differentiate and having a combination. If there wasn't one combination, like 1, A for 1, B for 2 ones, C for 3 ones, D for 4 ones. But when the one uses A, B, C, meaning 6 ones are made, but having no differentiator, that is either A, B, C, D, E, F, or by the sum of A, B, C, or being 6, B, 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 or C, C, or D, B, or E, A, it cannot differentiate. So the least count for making a computer is a factor 2. Making an advancement of calculation, making its electric circuits to be able to differentiate 3, 4, 5 counts. Now humans are capable of 26, even 100 in those other boys because okay. It can store their raw data into the raw form, okay? The human can remember from A to Z without changing its essence, without changing its script. But the calculator cannot because of the lack of computing logic. The human can do more, like even the Chinese characters, because it can literally translate from that image form to the neuron on its exact image, okay? So it does not need any computing differentiator, but it just copies itself. It really lacks by that original structure differentiated from the binary computer for exactly calculating in a matter of fast time, and it generally goes up for the error fallibility because of many differentiators are used in simultaneously. So it has to be re-engineered for making a brain and also making a calculator. Having a lot of specialized domain-specific processors around the world of logic mathematics is a foundation of advancement of knowledge. Alright, so on the mathematics, okay, has to go. Mathematics was made because there was a circle, was a rectangle, was a line, dots, was a relation, a fucking Rene Descartes, having a x and y. X and not but for the x and y because the French word used x and y a lot, but it is like just a differentiator, number 1 or 2, or in Korean, 기억 or nian, or in Chinese, A or B. Okay, so its sense lies on the vector differentiation by using those different vectors and combining them as having a specific position data rate. Analyze those interrelations on the object, line, what movement for its any trajectory. That was the purpose, like a function. So making a new processor brain entirely lies on the structure of logic, mathematics. Mathematics is just a logic calculation, not a calculation, but analyzing the relationships. Okay. Which said, 뉴턴은 그 문제를 다루기 위해 새로운 수학 분야의 미분을 만드는데 미분은 수학의 정적인 기법을 활용해 움직이는 대상의 운동을 연구할 수 있는 기로 이루어졌는데 그것은 동영상이라는 것이 인간이 눈으로 정적인 것이라고 생각할 수 있는 것보다는 빠르게 하기 때문에 그것이 움직이는 것처럼 보이는 것이지, 실제로 동영상은 수많은 이미지들의 집합으로 되어 있으며 그 이미지들이 단위 시간 동안 얼마나 빠르게 전환이 되는가, 혹은 뭐 프레임률이라고 하는 그거 덕분에 이미지가 얼마나 부드럽게 움직이는지, 즉 동영상이 되는지에 대해서 이제 볼 수 있는 것처럼, 실제로 뭐 언제나 그렇진 않지만, 즉 동영상의 목적은 어떤 것이 움직인다, 상호작용을 지속적으로 한다, 즉 사진처럼 정적으로 단순히 그 하나의 대표값만을 지니지 않는다에 있지만, 즉 동영상인 건 단순히 사진의 연결이 아니라 사진이 연결이 됨으로써 만들어지는 뭐였겠어? 상호작용의 지속이지. 어떤 운동의 영향이 그 모든 이미지에서 각각의 이미지마다 과거에 했던 것들이 새로운 것에, 그리고 다음 것들이 연속적으로 적용이 된다. 즉 단순히 이미지가 아니라 그 이미지들이 바로 앞과 뒤에, 그리고 전의 뒤와 전의 앞에 관계성을 가지고 있다. 그것이 동영상의 본질이지. 동영상을 만든다고 하더라도 서로 다른, 완전히 다른 이미지들로 동영상을 만든다면 이미지들 간의 관계가 없어서 그것은 단순히 많은 이미지들을 빠르게 본다, 뭐 그거밖에 안 되겠지. 그리고 동영상의 목적은 그 정적인 이미지들이 서로 진행을 함에 따라 관계성이 있기 때문에, 그것이 분석이 될 가치가 있기 때문에 동영상인 거야. 그러나 봐봐, 동영상이 있기에 사진이 있다라고 생각해보면, 즉 사진을 통해서 동영상을 만든 게 아니라 반대로 동영상이 있기에 그걸 통해서 그걸 분석하면서 사진을 만들 수 있다면, 즉 동영상이 이미 연속된 논리를 가지고 있고 그것을 사진이란 저 작은 단위로 분석한다고 하면은 사진을 통해서 동영상을 만든 게 아니고 이미 동영상이 있었고 사진으로 그것을 분해한 거기 때문에 논리가 있을 수밖에 없지. 왜? 동영상에서 나온 거니까. 그래서 그 동영상을 사진으로 분해한다면 전부 다 논리가 있겠지. 왜? 관계성이 앞과 뒤가 연결이 되니까. 어떤 주제에 대해서 동영상을 만드는데 서로 다른 100개의 주제를 논리적으로 엮지 않고, 즉 서로 앞과 뒤로 연결되는 그 이미지들이 서로 관계성이 없다면 단순히 빠른 이미지에 불과하지만, 논리를 가지고 있는 동영상, 즉 이 전체의 움직임과 같은 어떤 움직임이 논리를 가지고 그것을 동영상으로 만들고, 그 다음에 그것들을 작은 단위로 작은 사진이 서로 겹쳐지게 되면은 마치 책이 있는데 책의 500페이지가 한 번에 샤르륵 샤르륵 한 번에 빠른 속도로 그림책을 이렇게 넘기면 그 그림책이 움직이는 것처럼 보이는 것처럼, 그 책 하나는 동영상이고 책 안에 있는 페이지들의 각각 한 페이지씩은 사진인데 그게 관계성이 있기 때문에, 왜? 동영상 안에서 분석을 한 거기 때문에. 그렇다면 그 정의가 맞지. 뉴턴이 생각한 것이 언제나 맞지 않지. 사진을 통해서 동영상을 만들면은 그 논리가 있어야 동영상이 되는 거고, 그러나 동영상을 통해서 사진을 만들면은 언제나 맞지. 그럼 정확하게 맞지. 그래서 영화를 만드는 거와 비슷하다. 움직이는 장면의 정지 사진들 아주 빠른 속도로 순서대로. 중요한 건 순서야. 순서라는 것이 논리가 있고 그거를 순서라고 하는 거지. 순서가 논리인 게 아니야. 논리가 있고 그 논리의 정확한 과정이 순서라고 표현되는 거야. 논리가 중요하지. 스크린 외투행함 인간들은 그 대상이 움직이는 것처럼 보이게 된다. 한 장면과 다음 장면 사이 미세한 차이를 인간의 시각체계는 감지하지 못한다. 감지를 할 수 있고 그걸 뭐 생체의 한계라고 할 수 있겠지만 0. 뭐 1000분의 1초라고 했나? 중요한 건 뭐야? 어떤 것이 움직이든 아니든 그것이 하나의 정적인 상태가 서로 연결이 되어서 특정 운동을 만들어내고 어떤 논리를 만들어낸다면, 그게 비록 프레임률이 낮아서 뭐 30프레임, 20프레임, 200프레임이나 120프레임이 아니라 그렇게 3-4배가 낮아진다 하더라도 논리가 있으면 그건 동영상이지. 아니 뭐 동영상이 치나 어쨌든 분석을 할 수 있는 거잖아. 서로 다른 게 아니고 하나의 목적을 가지고 있기 때문에. 뉴턴의 아이디어는 쉽게 말해 연속적인 운동을 정지한 형상들의 연속으로 간주하자는 것이다. 각각의 정지 형상은 기존의 수학적 기법, 즉 기하과 대적을 이용해 분석할 수 있었고, 그것을 논리에 따라서 그것이 진행되는 방향에 따라서 그 안에 있는 각각들의 값을, 즉 방향에 따라서 바꿔주기만 하면 그게 미적분이 된 거였지. 모든 정지 형상을 한데 모아서 그 모으는 것들이 과정이 진행함에 따라 그 안에 있는 부품들이, 팩터, 그들이 조금씩 바뀌어지겠지. 그래서 논리를 만들고. 뉴턴은 연속이라는 결과를 수학적으로 성취하기 위해 정지 형상들을 무한의 속도로 투사해야만 했다. 그리고 그때 각각의 정지 형상은 지속 시간이 무한히 짧아야 한다. 그만큼 프레임률이 올라가는 거지. 함수에서 x하고 y의 모든 구간들을 1, 2, 3, 4가 아니라 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 이렇게 하면 더 10배씩 더 프레임률이 올라갈 거고, 거기다가 10배를 해서 0.01로 하면은 원래에 비해서 100배, 정확히 100배만큼 이제 프레임률이 올라갈 거지. 오늘날 우리가 미적분이라고 불렀던 이 분야는 이런 무한 연쇄를 수행하기에 발전시킨 기법이다. 그래서 이 기법이란 건 엄청나게 중요해. 중요한 건 뭐야? 어떤 것을, 운동이든 사물이든 그 작용이든 시발 뭐가 되었든 간에 분석하는 게 목적이야. 그리고 그 분석을 네가 할 수 있게 됨에 따라서 그게 뇌고 그 자체가. 그리고 그 뇌를 발전시키는 것은 수학의 발전에 의해서 만들어지지. 수학이라는 건 또 참 이상한 거야. 뭐 수의 학문이라는 거잖아. 뭔 그게 수야 미친새끼야. 수라는 것은, 수라는 게 왜 생겨났어? 어떤 하나의 시스템을 이루는 데서 그 수라는 것은 그 시스템을 분석을 할 때 어떤 것이 과일이 한 개가 있으면 한 개인데 그게 2배로 2개가 있으면 2개, 그래서 만들어진 거잖아. 시스템을 분석을 하는데 거기에서 서로의 관계성이 있고, 근데 그 관계성이 하나는 귤이고 하나는 사과인 것처럼 그게 서로 다른 종류가 아니라 귤 상자 안에 귤이 개수가 있는 것처럼 거기에서 1, 2, 3, 4를 만든 거지. 사과하고 귤하고 오렌지가 같이 있는데 여기서 전부 다 하나하나라고 하면 그 본질이 완벽하게 포함된 게 아니기 때문에 틀린 거지. 뭐 귤은 1, 2, 3, 4로 할 수 있고, 오렌지는 가나다라로 할 수 있고, 사과는 A, B, C, D로 할 수 있는 것처럼 결국 어떤 시스템을 분해하고 그 분석을 하는 과정에서 수가 만들어진 거지. 수는 존재하는 게 아니야. 그건 그냥 치환이지. 그러니까 exact translation like a code is reason of why exactly the mathematics is the language of science, the language of logic. It is the exact logic. Analyze the logic of an object, movement, and interactions and delineate it as to exactly know it. 그치. 베르니는 이 방법을 유체라는 이제 아마 화학적으로는 틀리지만 물리적으로 비슷하게 하는 건가, 아니면 씨발 원숭이가 멍청해서 물과 같은 액체와 가스와 같은 공기 그 기체를 왜 같은 것에서 안에서 하는 거지. 전기와 자기처럼 그렇게 가까이 있는 게 아니잖아. 관계성이. 유체의 연속 운동을 연구하는 데서 적용할 수 있을지 궁금했고, 연구를 유체역학이라는 책에 담아 출간했다. 이래서 유체역학이 나오면 안 되는 거지. 항공기 위의 비행의 토대를 이루는 방식이었다. 베르누이라는 친구가 말해주는 말은 유체가 표면 위, 이를테 항공기 날개 위쪽으로 흐를 때 거기에 가해진 유체의 압력은 속도가 증가할수록 감소한다는 것이다. 속도가 증가한다면 압력의 정의는 어떤 물질들이 정해진 공간상에 가지고 있는 그 밀도이기 때문에 빠르게 간다면 그 공간에서 네가 정지있지 않고 빠르게 간다면은 뭐 밀도가 높아질 시간이 없겠지. 제끼니까. 이 간단한 반비례 관계가 비행의 비밀이다. 항공기 날개의 윗면은 완만한 곡선이고 아랫면은 평평하다. 항공기 앞으로 추진할 때 날개는 고기 덩어리를 둘로 양분하면서 위아래로 갈라지는데, 구부러진 그 곡선, 즉 직선적으로 2D로 봤을 때 더 긴 이동 거리를 가지고 있는 곡선면은 더 빠르게 이동한다. 뭐 어쨌든 항공기가 똑같이 가고 거기에 날개가 똑같이 붙어있고 그 위와 아래가 똑같이 붙어있는데 어떤 정해진 공간을 날아간다면은 거기에서 공기는 그 어떤 것들은 항상 똑같이 갈 수밖에 없겠지. 상층부에서 더 빠르게 이동해야 한다. 참 이게 잘 이해가 안 될 수 있어. 아래면이 있고 윗면이 있고 비행기가 있는데 중요한 건 뭐야? 서로 따로따로 움직이는 게 아니라 같은 시간에 정확하게 동일하게 간다는 거야. 근데 동일하게 가는데 거리는 동일한 게 아닌 거지. 그러면은 윗부분은 어쨌든 더 빨리 가니까 길이가 긴데 똑같이 가는 거야. 그럼 빨리 가야겠지. 근데 이게 얘가 빨리 가고자 해서 그런 게 아니라 곡선이 있고 직선에 비해서 양 끝에 출발점과 시작점의 그 위치값이 같다면 곡선이라면 항상 이동 거리가 전체를 다 가야 한다면 길겠지. 그러면 그 곡선이라는 것이 만드는 길이는 직선에 비해서 길 때, 그러나 곡선하고 직선이 동일하게 똑같이 서로 붙어서 갈 때, 근데 이거는 단순히 글로만 이해하면 안 되지. 너 수학의 목적은 뭐야? 수학이라고 부르지 마 이제. 논리야 논리. 논리는 지식하고 똑같고 그 반대 관계도 성립하기 때문에 지식이나 수학이랑 똑같고 수학이라고 부르지 말고. 날개 윗면에 가진 공기 압력은 밀도가 적다는 게 중요한 게 아니고 밀도가 생길 시간이 없는 거야. 제끼고 빨리 가니까. 그래서 바닥보다 상대적으로는 약해지지. 쟤는 빨리 가야 되니까. 비행기가 이륙할 때 활주를 따라 달리면서 속도를 높이죠. 뭐 levitation 양력이라고 하는 것을 영어로는 뭐라고 할지 모르겠어. levitation, upward lift, uplift. 비행기가 앞으로 빠르게 이동할수록 양력은 더 커진다. 왜 그럴까? 양력이 커지는 게 아니라 빨리 가기 때문에 밀도의 그 차가 밀도의 차가 위와 아래의 밀도의 차가 커지진 않지만 그냥 절대적인 압력이 커지는 거야. 압력? 아니 저항이지. 속도를 높이려면 에너지가 많이 필요하고 그것은 저항이 많이 들기 때문에 저항이 많이 들고 그 때문에 압력 리프팅이 높아진다. 저항이 많기 때문에. 그럼 저항이 많다는 건 여기서 압력이 높다는 거 아니야? 그치? 속도를 더 빨리 하는데 에너지가 많이 든 이유는 저항이 많아지기 때문이야. 그래서 단기간에 빠르게 갈 수 있지. 더 잘 알아야 돼. 자, now there are quite a few, as those are important that we have to understand the basic elements of all science discipline and have an application from those connections and the resulted examples as those applications go more advanced. Now one of those is snakes' sensing organs. It says, snakes, like lizards, turtles, crocodiles, and alligators, are reptiles, and their bodies long and thin without any limbs. They are ectothermic, which means that their body temperature changes depending on their ambient environment. Regulate their own body temperature by exposing themselves to the sun to heat up or by going underground to shade to cool down. Horny scale covering their whole body shed once a year is a period. Another characteristic of common reptiles, they lay amniotic shelled eggs. In majority of serpents, their sense of hearing and olfactory sense do not function properly. Hearing and smelling sense do not function properly. While moving along the ground, the flicking of a snake's tongue is an important sensory behavior. Nostrils they have, but snakes can augment their sense of smell by sticking out their tongue to essentially taste the air. Snakes are having their tongue into the air, as we do see, and like it as a trademark of snakes, peculiar trait. It's one of them, and it does because the tongue of it is a sensor to catch the air molecule and have it back to its mouth, upper mouth, and have an analyzation and go to the brain. That is a sensor. The tip of their tongue is widely like diverted into two parts like a fork. It has because when we are assuming that the total length of tongue be 10 centimeter, it can reach out to from the 0 centimeter to the 10th centimeter, the first and second to the 10th centimeter. There's a high probability to catch the new information, new molecules that is not detected on the 0th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th line of tongue, but the 10th, because it is having the longest distance, that it is highly probable than you locating the divagated formation, which makes the more extensive area of surface by dividing it and having a more surface area than the 0th, 2nd, 3rd one, but to 10th position, because high probability for capturing the new molecule that is not detected. The 0th, 1st, 2nd. Well, the longer the distance, the higher the probability for catching the new one. catching the new molecule, having a first which allow the snake to have more surface area in contact with the chemicals in the air. And even more interesting that the tip of the tongue is widely separated into distinct parts. After picking up odor particles from the air, the tongue is retracted to the vomeronasal organ, it's called Jacob's organ, the secondary olfactory sensing organ in the roof of the mouth, delivering chemical stimuli gathered and sending information to the brain, allowing the animal to taste the scent particles. Well, as soon as and as long as snake gets its tongue out into the air, the first one will be the 10th centimeter, not 0th centimeter. And the full extent from the first step being 0 centimeter to the 10th centimeter, it is highly likely because of the distance and also the first part that gets into the air is not 0th but 10th. The 10th part will have the most quantity and quality, meaning diverse air molecules than the 0, 1, second one. Its importance goes higher as its number goes higher. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. There's a ranking of importance of its tongue to detect the new chemicals. Since 10th one gets first into the air and to full extent, the 0th tongue, first centimeter to second centimeter tongue, those are highly likely that just gets the same information what the 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th parts had experienced. So the most important part by by the two reason. First, because the 10th one gets into the air as a first runner, then 9, 8, 7, and the 0 is the last one, and having a longest distance, meaning the higher probability to get a new information. Either the quantity can be the same, but whether the quantity can be the same, but the quality as the probability for capturing the new information gets higher, because the closer to the snake, it is highly likely that it is captured by the behind ones. Okay, snake, from the position of snake and having a tongue out into the air and closer to snake, it is possible to be those to be captured by the 0th, 1th, 2nd, 3rd one, and it would be very much like the same information. Probably is very high because when the snake gets its first tongue, the 10, 9, 8, 7th, the higher up parts would have sensed already. So what air molecules do exist in its adjacent area really doesn't matter. So the lengthening its tongue is very, very important. Very important. So it can catch new chemicals. So there's a reason of why the tip of spear, the 10th centimeter part, has the most extensive area of surface to catch the new information, because that part is having the highest probability to catch the new one, and going behind that, they would literally sense the same one, what did first and second, third did already experience. Some species of snake have heat-sensing pits or vents between the eye and nostril on either side of head, which allow the snake to detect less than 0.0003 Celsius degree differences in temperature. Along with the forked tongue, Jacobson's organ in inner ears that enable them to sense vibrations. Jacobson's organ, the tongue is retracted to the vomeronasal organ, that is Jacobson's organ, and inner ears combined that enable them to sense vibrations in the air molecules and also substrate on the ground using bone conduction. As when you say yourself, what you hear for your voice is conducted not through the air that you're speaking onto, but through your bone. So what you are hearing for your voice on yourself is different from to the other one that gets your same voice through the different medium, the air. This heat-sensing pit gets snakes precise information about the direction and distance to the target prey. We just explored that as for getting the most quantity and diverse new informations by sensing by tasting, just capturing the air molecules around the ambient the snake is going on. The longer and having the more surface area being either thick or, more importantly, the thickness really doesn't get any merit point, because air molecule, its purpose of sensing is just capturing the air molecule, which just requires a tiny thin surface area. Reason of why snake's tongue is not thick as we have. Our tongue is quite thick, being 0.5 or 4 millimeters, and the snake would have very thin one because it has no merit point for its purpose of sensing, on which it goes as only to sense the air molecules around the environment it is going on. Its sole purpose is on there. So having a thick tongue, unless it makes a serpentine squeezing on the object with its tongue, not its body, so it has no merit point having a thick like 1 centimeter, 0.34 centimeter, but it is enough to have 0.2 millimeters of thickness, because the surface area is really what matters. So having not one long thick tongue, but having 3, 4, 5 different separated tongue whose thickness is very slim, low consumption of energy, but maximizing the surface area that the air molecule can be trapped onto that, and having a divagated course on its tip of spear, which has the highest probability to get new molecules from. So like divagate, no divagate, but trivagate, quadravagate, pentavagate, hexa, and octavagate. So having a lot of divagation, like some animal in a fairy tale having 9 tails on its back, having 9 different parts as the branches of tree on its tongue. They are going out into the air, having a large surface area. Let's just imagine having 5 different tongues that go simultaneously out into the air, and each of which are having 3, 4, 5 divagated one, and the total of the tip of spear that are having 25 5 by 5 different tiny, like a tiny, what do you call it? Tiny, slim lines. Yeah. And imagine that the tongue is of snake is going wave-like motion that goes only up, down to the up to the down, not left to the right. It is horizontal, not vertical. Now, when you imagine having 25 different areas for detecting the air molecule, would it be, what would be good? Having uh, having vertical tongue and going left to right, it only gets new information from what? From the very left side, like 25th side, and the very right side, 1th side. From the 2nd to 24th, it doesn't get any new information. And right on the middle, like 12th and 13th side, the middle of tongue would get the newest information among of those, except the 25th and 1th, because it having a vertical line and having left to right, right to left motion. Only the exterior, the most outside positioned tongue will get the new information, and none of the exception gets the new information. So among of which, what gets the most would be the on the middlest one. Yeah, so having a horizontal, meaning up and down, down and up, it gets all the surface area catch the air molecule. Having a wave, not only all 25 tongues get the information for up and down surface of each tongue, and also it gets each of different new information, different from 24, 25, 22, 21, 1 to 2, 13 to 14, all different branches of tongue can detect each of which different information. Okay, so different new information and having a maximized surface area. Maximized surface area. Maximize surface area for not only the upper side of its face, also the downside of its surface. So we can get that is very useful for having a horizontal direction of the tongue when it gets a wave like vertically, but having a vertical shape, vertical direction of shape, getting left to right, right to left motion, or even having just the same vertical tongue, but a motion going up and down. Well, it can, but it will be only useful when the air gets perpendicularly in exact opposite direction towards the snake. It will have a same amount to that of horizontal tongue, So unless the wind comes directly towards the opposite direction towards the snake, the vertical direction of the tongue doesn't have any merit. Even it gets its maximum data collection area is the same with the horizontal one. And when the wind direction comes other than that exact opposite direction, and all kinds of uh, breezing from left and right, it all gets with the uh, horizontal line. As long as the wave goes very fluently, the horizontal direction of its tongue is very, it fits to the logic. Horizontal tongue. Yeah, we imagine when even having a snake, its tongue, one tongue, but it is not forked with just 1 to 2 centimeter of its tip of spear, but why don't we just really separate that 1 to 2 tongues? Okay, you will maximize the surface area. As long as it has a depth, it has a thickness on its tongue, it maximizes the surface area by adding one more count of thickness. And having 2 tongues divagated into 4, literally 4 tongues, complete divagation, dividing it, having 3 more count. No, 4. Having 6 more count of thickness, its surface that takes up the thickness is added 6 more times. More and more surface area to detect. Love it. And wouldn't it be nice that having, we suppose, 25 different tongues, but each of which goes, what do we call for that? One by one in different wave. First tongue goes up in its first motion, and the second go down. Third, up, 4 down. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, towards the 25. And it makes a 2 kinds of wave, which means the air that is space located on that afflicted area of tongue's motion, it will be swirled. It will have a inundating flow, not the flow having one direction, but it will have a flicking many kinds of directions. For the terms of snake, it can maximize the mixture of tongue and have all kinds of air molecules, at least on its reachable space area, distance and depth. On that area, the snake's tongue goes flicking with different waves. On that, it will literally have over 99% of all air molecules on its brain. Okay, so as to maximize the tongue's sensing, for capturing the quantity and quality of molecules. It has rather low thickness, and the longest distance and the most count of its tongue as to maximize the surface area on which molecules are trapped. And the wave, a wave, one by one, for starting up, the second starting down, third starting up or down, which whirls the air molecules on the applicable area for its maximum distance of tongue and maximum depth of its wave, amplitude of its wave. It really gets the maximum count of air molecule detected by the tongue with the different motion of wave soaring the air molecule, capturing with the tongue. Yeah. Rather slim, small thickness, and longest distance, and many count of its tongue, having a different wave, utilizing all resources to get the most distance and amplitude of its wave, capturing as long as at least on the applicable area of its tongue's motion, it can get the most out of it. Yeah. Second one. Knew that lots of kinds of insects that can climb walls or even cling upside down from the ceiling. Oh bloody. You are literally standing up on the floor, and you are literally standing up on the ceiling. So your world that are seen from you is just opposite. No. Upside down from the perspective of floor. Upside down from the ceiling. It seems like you are not in lack of gravity. Just like flies. How can they do this? Not only have a lot of fine hairs on their legs, also have these very special bristle-like structures on their feet called setae. Structures are covered with a secret adhesive substance that allows them to stick to just about any kind of surface from falling off. While some insects can stick to walls, other insects such as water striders, spiders, beetles can actually walk on water. How to do this? Nothing to do with secretion of adhesive, or they are incredibly light and therefore they can't just float in the water. Also, very interesting, insects can either float on water or can climb walls, but they can't do both, but mosquito can. Mosquito can stick to walls and also walk on water by bending their legs to distribute their weight, like having 6 legs expanding towards all directions from the center of its gravity, having 6 legs, 8 legs, 10 legs, 20 legs, all around the circle of all 360 degrees, get as much as longest distance it can as to distribute its weight towards the most extensive surface area as not to sink from it. Also, mosquitoes' legs are super hydrophobic, means they are incredibly water resistant. Mosquitoes' legs are covered with thousands of microscopic scales that can trap air like feathers on a duck. I cannot understand it. Consider that a single leg of mosquito is so water resistant that it can support more than 20 times of the mosquito's weight. Huh? I can't understand either. I really cannot understand the English, the sentence. It's the surface tension. Another interesting thing is that mosquitoes are move around when walking on water. Not only can they step up onto the water, can also they move around the water. It's the surface tension of the water that enables them to maneuver on the surface. Since the water behaves like a trampoline, when a mosquito pushes down with its rear legs, strong surface tension of water propels them forward over the water. Does water have elasticity to do that? It has elasticity-like feature when water molecules are convergent, having the same water that has a surface tension. I cannot understand either. Oh hell. Oh bloody hell. Having a snake. Snake. Does snake have a bone? Like a bone being like a serpent s like form can be made by a bone, meaning the interstitial space between the bone is interlocked with the chain, like the chain in locking the wall, locking the gate used by human, like a chain, like it. They can make an angle by bending, okay? So, with the matter of bone, you have to make a chain whose unit of bending has to be short as possible. The shorter it gets, the more flexible it can move. Like having 1 meter of snake's total body length, but this bendable area is no 30 but 40 or 50, having all bendable area located on each of 2 centimeter marker, 2 centimeter, 4 centimeter, 6 centimeter, next to, next to, next to. It has a bendable area. They can move around like a serpent as move. Having a nostril, center of its 2 eyes, a pit that can sense the vibration of air molecule. Also, they can detect the vibration of terrain which they are moving. With the bone conduction, as you are hearing the speaker, what it hears from your own voice is your voice mediated by your own bone. Bone conduction, not an air transmission. So it can sense the vibration of air and terrain and can sense the air molecules by trapping it with the tongue. How bloody. And the ability of mosquito having an adhesive, they can not only upside down the ceiling and walking on the wall, also having a tiny fur sensor. And on the water, they can not only step up on the water, but it can move around the water like a water strider, because it can distribute its weight from its center of its weight, going most extensive range diameter from its body, having most leg count towards the most the longest distance for its leg to stretch, having the largest surface area it can get on its weight. It can distribute its weight from its 6 legs going all directions of circle 360 degrees and the longest distance of diameter it can make it. And also there is a feature of water's essence having a surface tension. I don't know about the essence of surface tension, but it can be seen and utilized as having an elasticity. The mosquito can make a power like a horse on its rear leg and have a jump by having a water surface as a trampoline and go up. How the fuck is that possible? And what did you say on the scale? Each of its leg has a scale, and it is very water resistance. Oh bloody hell. The harsh environment and the long counts of simulation made those all animals, insects, all those creatures utilize the very deepest essence of the matter. Our airplanes mimic the great form of bird. Our fin to maneuver on the water from a fish. Oh bloody hell. Biomimicry. Another one. T cells or T lymphocytes are part of human immune system and important for good health. Originated from hematopoietic stem cells produced in bone marrow, undergo a positive and negative selection process within the thymus, small organ in our body. Successfully maturing into lymphocytes are called T cells because they come from, as I've said before, thymus, the acronym T of its word. When these immune cells encounter a foreign object in the body, the bacteria or virus, they learn to recognize it as the enemy through protein markers. You mark it onto that. Virus or bacteria is encountered again, remembers the protein marker, and it helps the white blood cells attack, direct them to kill it. Why it's called memory T cell. T cells that haven't been exposed to a protein marker, naive T boys, not been exposed or yet encountered. As humans and animals age, their immune system becomes less effective as naive T cells count meet various pathogens in the body. It goes down and not reproduced again. Memory T cells, they get used up. Not it is used up, literally it drains. Same matter, but the word drain is the more appropriate one. The body can only produce a limited amount of naive T cells, and this ability greatly decreases as the thymus gland begins to shrink in the middle age of it. Being produced body is more susceptible to disease and result in a weakened immune system. And one study found that a caloric restriction diet in monkeys had an interesting effect on the number of naive T cells. Monkeys that were given 30% less calories, not 13, but 30, 1/3 of its entire calories diminished over a long period of time, had greater numbers of naive T cells than monkeys who had a appropriate amount of calorie intake. Seems that this reduction in caloric intake slowed down the aging process. We're fascinated by this result and beginning new research to discover whether a reduced caloric intake can help other areas such as hearing, eyesight, wound healing, and their body function are typically influenced by aging. Yeah. Yeah. Eat less, exercise more, be a little bit hungry.